When you're ready, let me know, Jen.
Yeah, I think it's close. It might even say it up there. It just takes a second on my end.
Yeah, it says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
All
All
right.
right, we're good. Thanks.
I'll call to order the special meeting Tuesday, December 28th of the Board of Trustees of the Grand Island Memorial Library. Pat, would you read the roll call?
Okay, it's 3:59, and just in case you wanted to, okay.
Okay.
So we have Crawford,
Here.
Janasek,
Here.
Byrne,
Here.
Rizzuto. Here. Becker.
Here.
Heinz.
All right.
Beatty.
Here.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from December 22nd.
I so moved.
moved.
This is Jill.
I'll second.
Moved by Jill, seconded by Agnes. Any further discussion on those minutes?
I really haven't had a chance to review them, so I reserve.
Well, Dick, you've had them for 4 or 5 days. It basically
I'm
talked
just
about,
telling Richard, okay, I was bad. I was playing around with this plan on and off, and I had other things to do. I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm
just
just
making a
saying-
point.
I'm just abstaining. How's that?
Call the vote, please.
Okay, so we have Crawford,
Aye.
Janasek,
Aye.
Byrne,
Abstain.
Rizzuto, aye. Becker.
Aye.
Okay, so-
So from the minutes, we had a small task force of Bridget, Jen, and myself. You've had in front of you a microcluster draft plan to take a look at. And I'll entertain a motion for discussion to accept this plan as presented.
I move that we accept the plan as presented.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Moved by Rizzuto, seconded by Becker. Is there any further discussion?
Well, obviously, if you've read my emails, which weren't as timely as the minutes, you'll see that those are my points. And I discussed it with the person that put together the, the level plan, and Mary Jean, who's the director, and put the thing together, and you can see my concerns. You just want to shove something through, go for it. I'll vote against it, and I'll state my objections, and I'd like them listed. Otherwise, if you want to discuss these points, I'm willing to discuss them.
I think that's why we moved it, Dick, so we could discuss it.
That's
That's
correct.
fine, that's fine, Agnes. I mean, okay, then I'll get the hair on the back of my neck down, and I'm willing to discuss them. Do you want me to present them again or not? I don't know.
Yeah, Dick, you have some issues with it, so please, that would be the purpose of the discussion. Yes.
Okay. All right. As I've previously stated, I think it's cumbersome with the two plans. Mary Jean felt, and maybe it's for several reasons that I'll state, she feels that it was necessary to make the county levels more restrictive to the zones, because she looks at the being opening or the libraries as a public living room, as she put it, and that therefore the standard should be a little stricter. Now, the county and central library have many more purposes than ours do, and it's broad, and they have a broader population and patrons that attend. So I can see that, but it kind of makes sense. The most important thing is that we follow the state plan. Because since the insurance question to me is unclear, since I've never seen the insurance policies, and this is a very sticky wicket with insurance companies as to how to handle COVID, we have to have a standard that we can say that we're sticking by. So there's a balance there. I don't think there's anything wrong with being stricter. She further said, and it makes sense, that you don't mix and manage this. She was against it because I asked her openly, I wasn't sure how to address this. I said, well, can we compromise or modify the level plan and combine the two? And she said that to her, it didn't make sense because they had a set of standards there. And that's why in the draft that I submitted with my comments, I put in that the state, and no matter what, if we go with the two levels, then no matter what, the state controls because we have to comply with the state requirement. And that's so I would definitely go against splitting up the levels and having different levels in the plan. If we're gonna, I think it's best to combine the two and make it stricter. But if you don't want to do that, then go with the state alone and leave all the levels out. The question that I also had about changes, implementing changes because of changes in either the zones or the levels, Mary Jean felt it should be done quickly and within 36 hours. And I agree with that because if we're going to say that we comply, we need to comply. Now, that raises the question that I think Pat initially raised as to patrons, and it's a very good one. And that's why I suggested that we hold off in implementing this plan until January 15th, because the week between, including between Christmas or including Christmas and New Year's, is going to have a lot of socializing, and there's a good chance that there's going to be a bump. And as a result, that will change the metric. And as a result, we may have to close. We may be in a red zone. So to not confuse the patrons, it might be better to hold off until January 15th in implementing any plan. That said, Mary Jean has said that when they were closed, she got a lot of kickback from patrons because the library was closed, as well as from the county executive. So those are the points. That's what I said. I've researched it. And the things about the staff and whatchamacallit, Bridget can correct me if I'm wrong, but Mary Jean was saying that the staff levels for both a yellow and orange zone would remain the same. It's just that the responsibilities of the staff would be different, obviously, if they didn't have patrons in the library. And that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, anybody else have any comments?
After reading all of Dick's research and everything, the one thing that did stand out to me was the comment about having to make the changes within 36 hours. So if that is an insurance thing, if that is an Erie County thing that they're pushing for that, then I would rather try to follow it than to be like the one outlier in the entire county.
That makes sense.
Well, that was Mary Jean, pardon me, that was Mary Jean's comment, okay? It wasn't from the county.
Okay.
This came solely from her and not at my prodding or anything else. This is what she suggested when I asked the question.
Gotcha.
The one funny thing, the one somewhat humorous thing about this whole thing is that the county executive was demanding that or not demanding, but being very insistent on having all the libraries open. And yet the one library that is not accepting his standards is the library in his town. So everybody's at a free will.
Because the only other concern I have is there's only one library that I'm aware of that's not going to open on the 5th. They're going to open on the 15th, and that's what their board came up with. I'm also concerned about opening up later, and then once again being one of the few outliers in the system with that. It's just depending on whatever pressure Poland Cars is putting on. I just don't want to have like a laser beam on us, basically.
Well, then you can just, that's fine. You know, I have no objection to it. I'm just saying
I know.
what's been said. You had a concern about your patrons and not being able, and I can see that. You had a concern about notifying them, and it is a problem. In facing reality, I see possible, a greater chance of possibility of changes in the next 15 days than at other times.
Okay.
I'm just making an observation. You vote as you want, but I do feel that the other points are important. You don't mix and match with these levels. But I do feel that you need to have a safeguard in there that the state controls, no matter what, are the ones that are, these are the most important ones. But don't mix and match with this 0.70. If you just put 0.70 in the orange one, and you eliminate level 2, then what you haven't fully addressed that problem either, because if you go at points, if it's over 0.70, then what happens? There's no statement as to what the county says it's open. I mean, the state says it's open. So why, if you're going to have one level, why eliminate level 2? And really, if you think there's an inconsistency or a duplication or something in the yellow zone, so be it. It's not going to create a problem. It just adds to the consistency if that's what you're trying to do. Don't try to oversimplify it. It's a complicated matter, and everybody is grappling with it.
No question about it. And that's the biggest problem, is that there's so many inconsistencies that have occurred here, with trying to get a good plan together. It makes you go crazy, as we're going crazy right now.
Well, so you have to sit down and you have to look at each argument, which I try to do, which is probably one of the reasons, and a really bad excuse that I didn't look at the minutes. But it's trying to grapple with this thing. And the state is obviously having problems. They're changing their metrics and their controls since the start of this thing. It's a moving target. And the safest way to do it is to stick with whatever the state does. Another provision that should be in there is that this plan will be readjusted as soon as possible if the state changes their standards, just to show the good faith of where we're coming from.
So just to go back quick, within my role in this, a non-voting member, but still getting the board the tools they need, you as trustees, as Bridget mentioned, she, Dick, and myself had a conversation last week, and while we never go into, legal matters heavily during open session, we did bring forward concerns you'd mentioned at the other meetings, or the last meeting at least would be the most significant one, to kind of reassure Bridget in some matters that you've all been vocal about. Okay, are we assuming a risk in this way? Or what about this? Or what about that? So I think, Bridget, I don't want to speak for you, but on some of the matters that were of concern, you were able to have those addressed and receive guidance in a similar way that the town does when they consider reopening to the public, as we've been for months now. How should it look different? How will it look different? What will the policies be? And there were important, the wording was good in the document, that where he wouldn't have written it that way necessarily in the communication that she received and passed along to you about deciding, but he was okay with that. And he was also okay with the essential pieces of the protocol that were in place. January, just as the town is doing, embarking on our emergency preparedness plan, that, as you know, Dick, probably too, as ACT president, we have to locally prepare at the library level here on Grand Island, a similar plan. So there wasn't anything, and our legal team's cautious, there wasn't anything that Bridget put before him that he couldn't address. So if you want to speak more to that, you can, Bridget, but I think it's also really good timing that by February 4th, we'll have a plan in place required by the state that will really give us some good guidance on situations like this.
I guess the other part of the question for us to think about is if we want to look at this from the two dates that we are looking at to opening, from the 15th or the 5th, if we scrutinize the state plan more, we could put things off till the 15th, if that's what the thinking of the board is. If we want to open on the 5th, we could pass a resolution to implement a plan with the understanding that we are going to continue to look at the metrics, the levels, to make determinations as they change and as are outlined and updated by the state and or the county.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
speak to that?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't, I go all or nothing, okay? Don't put the caveat in your suggestion. If we're having a plan, have a plan, but don't question is it valid or not at this point. The only reason I brought in the 15th has nothing to do with legality. It only has to do with patrons, okay? Because if we're in an orange zone now, and by the 15th, we get switched over to a red zone, you're gonna have to notify the public again. And if that's fine with everybody, and it's fine with me, then okay. You're gonna get grief either way. If you're closed, you'll get grief. If you have to change the zone, you're gonna get grief. So if you wanna remain open, that's the only reason I put forth the 15th. I do feel that part of what you said as far as your second motion should be incorporated in the agreement to the effect that this is a moving target and the standards have been changed since the virus has been created or has occurred, and we will do our best to keep track and update this plan to comply with those future changes in metrics. It's just a statement of good faith and shows our intent, which, as an attorney without having insurance coverage or anything, if intent comes into play, it's important to demonstrate it. So I think your statement is good, but I wouldn't put it in the motion. I'd put it in the plan for future changes.
Okay, so with that being said, the draft that you have in front of you, well, let me go back for a second, just to make another point. I think that the whole question on notification of the patrons of what is going on is very similar to what has happened all along here with restaurants. They've been turned inside and out because every other week or every 2 weeks, they're open, they're closed, they're open, they're closed. So it's the same kind of predicament that they have that we will also have as opening up under a set of guidelines that could all of a sudden be changed because we're now in a different zone.
Richard, I'm not arguing with that.
I'm just making that point.
I agree with it. I agree with it. I'm just saying that this point of patrons that pleasing patrons was previously brought up, and so I addressed it. I'm not saying that I'm for it. I'm just putting it out there that it should be considered.
I was not
And I
making
also-
a negative comment, Dick. I was just wanted to make a point. That's all. It was
Okay.
nothing
Well-
negative about it. So,
Even though I brought up that point, I think that at this point, it's implied, whatever policy you have, it's implied that this is very fluid in any policy. So I think that people know that because because the governor's changing his policies on everything all the time. The county is, cities and towns are. And the other point is, we don't have a crystal ball, and nobody does, but everybody thought that the numbers were going to go up for Thanksgiving, and they actually didn't. I've been reading in the Buffalo News that the numbers have been going down, in Erie County, and that the finger
Mm.
went up, that, so we just can't predict these things.
And I think if we go to red, everyone knows everything is closed if it's red.
It'll be all over radio and TV.
Exactly. Mhm.
You're missing you're going, you're going for the minor, most insignificant point in the whole presentation, okay? The point basically is using the county and the systems plan with levels, okay? And either we put them in, which I think is a good idea, or we totally take them out. Just putting one level in, it just doesn't, it just doesn't make any sense, especially when the part that's addressed in the second level is really not addressed. If you take it out, then what happens if you're using the county standard at 0.70 and you go above it? Then what happens? You haven't addressed that.
Well, if we go over 70, the way it's written in orange, then we go back to curbside only. Is that
Right. I don't understand Dick Ern's point of not having two levels, because the way it was drafted before Dick worked on it some was, if we're in an orange zone, we have a level 1 and a level 2, and it's based on statistics, and we are either open or we go to curbside. And so the one thing that he did meant that has come up in this discussion is, I suggested that we don't make the change till the following week. Sounds like Mary Jean didn't think that was a good idea, and that we should try to implement it within 36 hours. But we do have two levels under orange. So Dick, your comment about not having two levels and having two different plans, I'm just kind of confused with the way the orange zone is written. Are you happy with the orange zone with two levels if we make the change within 36 hours?
Well, what you're saying about two levels, if I read the plan correctly, the revised one, you're only having one level in orange.
No, it's got two levels under orange, and level 1 is based on if the statistics are less than 70 per 100,000. And
Yeah.
there's a level 2 if the statistics are greater than 70 per 100,000. So the orange one, the only thing we really changed in that one was the time of the implementation. And the orange one is really just the same as the one we got from Central.
Okay, if that's what it says, I'm in agreement with that. Now, what did you do about yellow?
Okay, the yellow, we took out the statistics because it told us that we were going to be open if the statistics were less than 70 per 100,000, and we were going to go to curbside under a yellow zone if it was greater than 70 per 100,000. So we thought that that was confusing because the yellow zone is really just a warning zone of following all your PPE and your cleanliness habits and social distancing. It didn't seem like under yellow, you would have to go all the way back to curbside service only. And so that was the reason for taking it out.
Okay, then humor me. Why do you need any levels in yellow?
We took them out. You have no levels in yellow. In yellow, it's just the same as in the previous microcluster plan. It just says if the area, Grand Island, is in a yellow zone, we will continue day-to-day operations. The drop box will be open. We will do all the necessary PPE and controls, precautions, but there are no levels, and the library would remain open anytime we're still in a yellow zone.
Well, personally, to me, what you're saying does make sense in combining the two standards. Part of this is just relating what Mary Jean told me, and I can't really substantiate exactly why. She explained it to me, but it was very hard to follow. It was more of a political thing than anything else. So, yeah, I guess I wouldn't have any objections to that, personally.
Anybody else have any other comments? So the only thing we would be adding to this will be a statement that if the state determines new metrics to these plans, we will make the appropriate changes to our plan on whether per our zones, how we will open or close.
We
do
don't need
have
to
to-
change, we don't need to change the plan. We just need to adjust our operations. So somewhere in here, there was a statement that said we would implement the change within 7 days. And we just need to change that to within 36 hours. Oh, here it is. It's at the top of page 4. It says the 7-day equalized rate is determined by the health department and distributed, who will distribute it to GML. Following receipt, the GML will determine operations for the subsequent week, which was my suggestion because I thought it would be easier, but it should just be changed to within 36 hours. And then the rest of it should be fine.
So we'll just change it to shall determine operations within 36 hours.
Can you live with that, Bridget?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Just making notes.
So we have that plan in front of us with this one change. Is there any other changes anybody feels at this time?
Okay, do you want me to put on the top of page 4, change to shall determine operations within 36 hours? Do you want that phrase in the minutes?
Yes, and then you'll take out the parentheses, level 1 or level 2 for the subsequent week.
Take out level 1 or level 2 for the,
Subsequent week.
okay,
Wouldn't you leave that in, Dick? You would leave the level 1 or level 2 in and just change for the subsequent week within 36 hours.
That's true. That's true. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a second, now I'm confused again.
I'm sorry.
All right, operations for the subsequent week within 30, all right.
No, you have to just leave it, that sentence say, following receipt, the GML will determine operations level 1 or level 2 within 36 hours.
I'll send it to you also, Pat.
Okay, that would be good. All right, send
I'll
that,
send it to everybody.
Okay.
all right.
Any other further discussion?
Well, I just have the one point in relation to your point that I thought was a good one. That we show that we have a good faith statement in there that we will adapt our plans if the state changes their metric.
Okay.
Well, we do have a statement in
do
there that
have it.
says
Yeah,
GML will cooperate with New York State, Erie County, and the local government officials. So, I mean, it's.
I just think that
saying-
should be expanded, but that's fine if you want to leave it that way.
and we do have a statement that said guidelines are subject to change. Maybe
Perfect.
if we make that more specific.
I think that's a good suggestion, Agnes.
And that's at the end of level 1 and level 2.
Well, it really doesn't apply to the levels. This applies to our plan. you know,
Well, there's a statement in here that says this plan has been reviewed and approved by the Board of Trustees, December 22nd, 2020. You could certainly change that to say this plan has been reviewed and approved by the Board of Trustees and is subject to change based on guidance from the state and the county or something like that.
well,
just get
that's great. I just wouldn't use the word guidance. I would say on changes, something to the effect that on changes to the state plan or the state requirements.
Okay,
Yep, that's a perfect place to put it.
I agree.
I will
It's at
send,
the,
I'll
it's
send
at the
both of
end of
those.
section A.
Yep, I'll send both those statements out to everybody.
You,
Anything else?
Well, if they're there, we can vote on a plan, right?
That's why I'm asking. Anything else?
Oh, I didn't understand why you were sending them out. That's why.
My last question is just what day does the board want me to reopen?
This plan will have the date of January 5th on it. We have, this motion was moved by, I believe, Rizzuto, seconded by Becker. Is that correct?
yes,
Would you call the question? Roll call?
okay. Crawford,
Aye.
Janusik,
Aye.
Ern,
Aye.
Rizzuto, aye. Becker,
Aye.
okay.
Motion passes. We have a plan that certainly, I think, as we all know, will be moving along depending upon what happens here. The other, I would ask that we suspend the rules to add an agenda item. And that item is officers for 2021. I need someone to make a motion.
Also move.
Moved by Ern. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded
All
by
right,
Becker.
we're gonna suspend the rules.
Yes, to add an agenda item.
Okay, but it's on the agenda.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
My
Under-
emails from Bridget, my emails from Bridget got all screwed up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so there's the, okay, the agenda items for officers for next year, 2021.
Okay.
There has been some discussion back and forth. Basically not basically, to keep the same slate of officers we had for 2020. I'll open that up for discussion.
Though it counts for nothing, I think you're all fantastic in the way you each serve.
Then I will entertain a motion that the secretary cast one vote for the positions of president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary.
Okay,
Dick, I think you need to mention the names probably because this is, live
Okay.
stream.
President Richard Crawford, Vice President Jill Banasek, Secretary Pat Rizzuto, and Treasurer Richard Ern. At-large member Agnes Becker.
Oh, thank you. Jill so moves.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dick Ern. Any further discussion?
okay.
Roll call, please.
No, you said that I was going to.
You're right. One vote. You got it, Pat. please
Okay, I vote to, yes. Okay,
That point confuses me. You're making a motion for her to cast, the secretary to cast one vote. So don't you have to vote on that motion? So she
We
can
do.
cast her one vote?
We do.
Oh,
oh,
okay.
okay. Oh, okay,
So we have a
So-
slate of officers presented, and within that motion is for the secretary to cast one vote.
okay, so now we have to do that. So Crawford,
Aye.
Janusik,
She stepped away.
oh, okay, we'll skip to Ern.
Aye.
Rizzuto, aye. Becker,
Aye.
okay.
Now, I raised a question, Richard. With that done, and to Bridget as well, do we need a meeting on the 7th?
Well,
We-
I mean, we had a lot of policy stuff that came up. So I think I do have some agenda items for the 7th. I had also reached out to Elaine Panty, who's our system liaison. The only 2 meetings that she can go to next year are January and November. So
That's no loss. Pardon me.
we are recording and live streaming.
Richard.
It's me. What can I do? I try hard to change. I
I know.
really do.
So I would like to have one just to there's a couple policies that need to be covered for the.
That's okay. I just raised the question. That was all. If you got stuff, we do it.
I got
Got
stuff.
it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bridget, it
Yeah.
seems like you have a really good system going with Rhonda Deal in terms of communication and getting the news out there, because there is a lot now to share that comes out of this. Just for residents to know what to monitor, maybe call first, those sort of things. But if you need any help in that regard, let me know.
All right, Jen, thank you.
Yep.
Guess we'll wait for Jill to come back to her screen.
Jen, what does the town do to get their messages out, and how effective is it?
We utilize carrier pigeons and it's very effective. I mean, costly, especially
What?
On a more serious note,
we actually find the most effective is to utilize a variety, because there's nothing that all people use. So
Right.
we do everything from the dispatch and the penny saver for the people who like that. We utilize our Facebook account for social media purposes. We put stuff on the website because some people prefer to go right to the town website. And then we even go as far as using our individual Facebook pages, the ones that we have for personal and job use, to get the word out, and encouraging our residents to tell their neighbors. You know, if you have a friend that doesn't follow the news much, let them know. So we rely on the word of mouth as well. So we find the only way to reach as many as we can is to try as many methods as we can. We wish there was one silver bullet.
Well, and there's a couple of other sites that people then repost our stuff on.
Yep.
Grander ideas and things of that nature. So,
Oh, Isle de Grand, I forgot to mention that, Dick Earn. We always send stuff there. It's just regularly, widespread, and often, just, yeah.
okay.
Jill's back.
And we still hear from people, Dick, that people never knew. Like, we'll give them the information, we do all that, and then people say, I had no idea. And we just say, we're sorry.
Okay, Jill is back.
right. You had to get a vote from her, didn't you?
Yes, Jill, we need a vote from you to pass the motion that you moved on. That the secretary cast one vote for the slate. So,
Oh, I thought I voted, but I guess I must have muted myself. Aye.
all right.
All right.
I thought I knew that since you made the motion. So,
I would entertain a motion that we adjourn at 4:38 in the memory of Philip Muck, an Eden trustee who passed away. Just a moment of silence. And on that ring, if somebody would like to make that motion,
Jill moves.
moved by Banizak, seconded by Ern. Any further discussion?
one question. How do you spell that name?
Philip, Phillip Muck. And he was a trustee with the Eden Public Library. A past president. You're muted, Dick.
I'm just curious, how did you find out about that?
There was an email from Mary Jean today.
There was?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have to talk to her about putting me on that list. Okay. Thank you.
That last list. No, come on. We don't want you to be deceased.
No, not on that list, but on the list for her emails. You're sure you don't want me deceased?
Okay,
Not at all, my friend. Not at all.
okay, so we have our motion to adjourn. We have to vote on that, I guess.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Onward and upward. Bridget, are you in tomorrow?
Yeah. All day.
All right.
Bridget,
give
I
you-
have a couple of questions for you after this is,
Give me a call. I'm here, Pat.
okay.
All righty. Jen Baney, thanks for hosting.
Yeah, can you send it back over to me for a second? We're still live on YouTube for some reason. Thanks.
Okay.
Any big plans for New Year's, anybody? You going out?
Better
disco-
not.
Ern, you going out disco dancing?
You asking me that?
Yeah.
Here's this.